Like many of you, I was first introduced to Robbins and Larry by my parents. I've been literally following Larry's light his entire life. When I was asked to do an introduction to Larry and Moonstone, where do you start? John Dewey wrote that education is a social process. Education is growth. Education is not preparation for life, but is life itself. Larry Robbins and Moonstone offer us the opportunity to engage in a semiotic experience of words embedded with engaged and active senses. Think of a boy growing up in and around a bookstore in a time when a binary world ran roughshod over culture, where books were banned. HUAC, shoulds and oughts dominated public inquiry, and American apartheid was the norm. Larry Robin brought words and art and inquiry to us to ask the hard questions, and he's done so for over 60 years. As would become a pattern in his life, young Larry was not content to just watch from afar. Larry's unshakable curiosity led him to help coal miners during the 62 and 63 labor actions. To hear him talk about it, Larry saw firsthand how precarious survival can be when you are not assured a job, a home, a community with a future that is not intermediated by unbridled power and greed. We might call it now a righteous rage built up in young Larry, and honing his sense of fairness to become this incredible person who understands the potency of the word and of the mechanisms needed to spread that word. In short, Larry's family business was the perfect place to open the magic gateway of writing and inquiry for a world filled with questioning beings. Larry Robin is an enabler in the very best sense of the word. Moonstone's founding principle, education through the arts, embodies a coherent and deliberate philosophy that informs all of the organization's activities. Moonstone was founded on the principle that art is the creative human activity in whatever medium that can bypass propaganda and prejudice and provide opportunities to establish connections. Moonstone exists to support dialogue and awareness. Moonstone, founded in 1983 by Larry and Sandy Robbins with the goal to provide education through the arts from cradle to grave. Sandy, many of you knew and loved her. She developed an innovative multidisciplinary approach to learning, which shaped the holistic approach of Moonstone and the Moonstone method. Larry and Sandy, through Moonstone, provide a space for the dialectical experience for all of us. So when the online and e-publication and aggregate sellers rolled through the arcane world of publishing, Moonstone adjusted. In 2007, Moonstone began to broadcast online audio and then real-time video through the internet. When Viking Press released On the Road, the original scroll edition to the 50th anniversary of Jack Kerouac's work, Moonstone broadcast the complete text in a marathon performance live for the world to see and hear. Since then, Larry and Moonstone have built an impressive body of published and broadcast content. And today, the Moonstone Art Center produces almost 100 events a year. Larry set out to create a safe space for all of us, and a safe space for all of us who didn't have a platform or for whom the existing forums did not work. We have the opportunity to imagine a future together here. The future of Moonstone is in our hands, and with what Larry has built, we get to explore ideas and thoughts and imagine a world that may not quite be the way in which the world is presented to us. Thank you.
A woman by the name of Miss Hudson. I learned about myself, and in Schaumburg, I put my head down and cried because I have found me. And that is a great level there that will never, nothing will ever surpass that level there, let me tell you. He said, you're teaching Robeson, Wright, Hughes, another name in there someplace, Garvey. People, all the people thought I was so hip. I was so naive. I said, yes. You cannot teach Black history without those names. They I went, duh. Like, what's wrong with you, right? And like, I went, you know how you're in a foreign country and you don't speak the language? So you think if you speak slowly, because they will understand you. I said, yes, I teach Black literature. Boom, boom, boom. The guy is looking at me like, you are a complete nut, lady. You know, don't you know they're on the list that we don't teach? Didn't they teach you that before you started teaching? But you know, part of being an activist and part of teaching poetry, I used to say constantly, and I don't remember, you don't have to be like me. You don't have to write the poetry that I write, but you have got to be human. This is a journey towards what does it mean to be human? This is a journey, and you have to figure out what that means to you. I can't tell you. What has Marshall said? You know, you don't repeat what people do, but you look for the truth that they were seeking. The students heard it. So they're all going, you losing your audience, people, you know, if you know anything about an audience, whatever. So then I stopped and said, did someone say, fuck? Yeah, I tell you, there is something beyond us on this earth that will direct you, you know, with words that you didn't even know were coming out of your mouth, people, right? And the teachers got nervous, you know, then how they, like this woman on stage said, fuck. You know what I mean? Whatever. And I said, who said that? This kid stood up like, you know. I said, oh, did you say fuck? Or did you say fuck, 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 fuck? Did you say fuck, 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 fuck? What I was doing is that I was making that word unimportant. That is what we did in a place called New York City and all over the country. That is what we did. We would walk into a classroom in a place called San Francisco and began to have people read the literature. That is what happened at Larry's place, his bookstore. It became a holy place, you know. People would come in and just sit down on the floor and pick up the books and begin to read. It reminded me so much of 8th Street Bookstore in New York City, when I would come in and sit down with a book, sit on the floor, and just sit there and read what I needed to read. That's what Larry was, that university. That bookstore was a university. Can you understand that? People came in and learned, asked questions at the end. What did you mean? What did that mean? And Larry's place was a place that answered those questions. We taught young people who were not in our classrooms, but the classrooms extended beyond Larry's bookstore. The change that happened, we have never had an explosion like this as we had with the Black Arts Movement. We brought language and information to a community that had never had that before, and that came out of Robin's bookstore. You have walked with literature, my dear brother. You have said simply that we cannot be a country that truly understands freedom, that truly understands what it means to walk upright as human beings, unless we give you all the literature of people, the various people. And you've done that here. You did that here in the bookstore, and you still do it in your own way by having conferences, you know, and having people come in and talk. And we are forever grateful to you for having done that. I thought it was important for people to understand, you know, that they have an iconic person here in a place called Philadelphia, someone by the name of Brother Larry. You kept literature alive, not just one kind of literature, alive in a place called Philadelphia. That in itself was a monumental task, and you did that. And you should be very proud of yourself. Get up and, you know, and do it.
Two videos that we're Moonstone real quickly. It's Linda Goss and Major Jackson.
It's storytelling time. I'm taking it to the people. I'm taking it to the street. Gonna tell my story in the cold and in the heat.
My name is Linda Goss.
Okay, folks, this is a praise song for the one and only Larry Robin. Praise song for the liberator of poets. Praise song for Larry Robin, liberator of the word. My bells are ringing, well, ling, 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 ling. My soul is singing. I celebrate you, Larry Robin, for you have celebrated my work. I ring my bells in your honor, for you have honored me. You have honored me and so many others. You have given us poets a chance to be heard. You have given us poets a voice. You have given us poets a platform. You, along with your beloved wife and sister, warrior, queen, Mama Sandy, are idea people, vision people, action people. The two of you realized and brought out the best of humanity. I am here to testify today that, I was afraid to share my poems. I was afraid to read my poems out loud, and never did I think I would see them in a chapbook along with other poets. Now, you'd have called it at Larry Robin. How precious you are. How selfless you are. How brilliant you are. How brave you are, Larry Robin. You empower us to speak, to read, to write, and to keep on writing and to keep on fighting against tyranny and censorship and the enslavement of the mind. You, Larry Robin, are worthy to be praised, for you are the protector of NOMO, NOMMO, NOMO, the power of the word. You are the liberator of the poets, the liberator of the word. And I salute you, Asante Sana. I thank you. I ring my bells. Ring, 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 ring. Oh, I thank you so much.
Larry Robin is in my personal pantheon of legendary human beings. His indefatigable energy and commitment to writers, activists, and the project that is American democracy is rightly celebrated today. Larry remains among a small cohort of people whose values set me going on a life of open inquiry, pursuit of justice, and a high regard of people. It is difficult to imagine my life as a writer and educator without Larry, someone who lifted me and a bunch of writers up. When my friend Wadud Ahmad and I long ago put together a chapbook of poems, Larry did not hesitate to put them on the shelves next to books published by major New York presses. When putting together Celebration of Black Writing 1992, Larry invited us to read alongside the likes of the late Melvin Dixon and June Jordan. Long before many of the members of the Darkroom Collective were published, Larry organized the reading, memorable in my head because it was the only time my mother saw me read my poetry. Just a couple weeks later, she would die. My education took place in formal settings, of course, but my greatest moments of discovery and human exchange happened in the second floor Robin's bookstore and the events Larry organized over the years. Many of those events connected me to writers who furthered my curiosity. One of those writers, Jill Bielowski, would become my editor at an event at Robin's bookstore. So literally, I can draw a line between Larry and my last book, Razzle Dazzle, New and Selected Poems. I will never forget your generosity, Larry. how when Sonia Sanchez published Does Your House Have Lions, you literally showed up with stone lions to give her at the end of her reading in the store. No matter how far I traveled from Philadelphia, you made sure to bring me home. One such occasion is a reading with one of my literary heroes, John Edgar Wyden. All this to say, Larry, you believed in me before I believed in myself. Because of your support, I took myself serious as a writer. You are an atypical bookseller. I can only think of one other bookseller in the country who matched your energy, who impacted us. You are up there with Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Larry, you and your family served as a bridge between ourselves and who we are today. A bunch of readers and writers with progressive values who carry a vision of a caring universe, one where everyone is truly heard. You modeled a commitment to writers that is unparalleled, one that informs my work as editor, teacher, podcaster, poet. Thank you for your warmth, your jocular laughter, your large spirit of giving. Thank you for making space, for helping to make us a warmer and humane community.
So what I'm going to do is, I was just told that our time was made abbreviated, but that's okay. I'm going to talk about this being an intergenerational event by introducing, she's not my niece, but I say it because she's good. So join her, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to just get right into it. I was born in Cote d'Ivoire, West Africa, to a Philadelphian mother and an Ivorian father. In 2002, civil war struck Cote d'Ivoire, and at 7, I was forced to relocate to Philadelphia, where my first and deepest longing, the longing for homeland, took hold of me, giving birth to my first home. It's in that depth of longing for home and for language that I found open mics and poetry reading spaces in Philadelphia. As a child, my mother would take me to Robin's Bookstore, a gorgeous two-story building tucked away on 13th Street. On the top floor, Larry would invite poets and writers to perform their work. And it's there that I first tapped into a powerful assertion of self and spirit. Here was a place where I could lay it all bare, call towards the country I had left behind, make amends with the ocean I had crossed to get here, name the anger and the fear that rode my chest. Here, in the midst of Larry's open mics, amongst the community of other writers and lovers of language, I came into being. Larry's poetry readings were my first movement space, if you will. On the crowded top floor, we, the poets, imagined a world that had yet to arrive. With words, we willed ourselves and our communities into visions of wellness. We built new belief systems. We centered pleasure and desire. We snapped and oohed and awed so as to affirm our new worlds. It's this bounty that I have Larry to thank for. The lush portal that was Robin's Bookstore was one of the most powerful forces in my life as a young poet that propelled me into being. Thank you, Larry, for the world you made possible in that bookstore. It made all the difference.
Thank you so much, Matt, for that introduction. I'm so excited to be here today. I have to say that when Erin Yates Perry sent me an email 3 weeks ago and said, "Do you think you could get to Maine for this?" I'm sorry, to Philly from Maine. There was no way I could do it, but of course I said yes. Because that is the lesson that I learned. In the 2 years that I worked at Robin's Bookstore, after graduating from Swarthmore College, I was in awe most of the time. I was a baby poet trying to figure out what my voice was, how to write poems that mattered not just to me, but beyond me. And I didn't know how to do that yet. So it was an incredible gift. It was sometimes an overwhelming gift. There was so much literary community that I thought I'll never get any work done and learn what to do, so I better run away to the woods of Maine where I can get some peace and quiet. And what I didn't realize is that Larry's lessons followed me and came with me. And the other thing that I learned was about history, right? Community extends beyond our present moment. That we are in conversation with our past, that when we write about our past, we are writing about our present. And that we need to know that, and we need to interrogate that at every turn. This is a poem that I wrote a couple of years ago, but I knew that I needed to read this poem for Larry. I wrote this poem because in early 2020, when I watched a video on YouTube released by a London hospital of a professional violinist playing the violin while surgeons conducted brain surgery, a brain tumor removal surgery on her. It was incredible thing to watch. And this is what came out. What will you do at the end of the world? When I watched the video where the violinist plays, as surgeons cut the cancer from her brain, my first impulse is to descend into metaphor, to imagine the plaintive cry of her violin as a singular silvery thread that leads the surgeons sublimely, tremulously through the Minotaur's maze, so they can extract the tumor abutting the lobe that controls her left hand, so they can navigate the fleshy labyrinthine folds and electric shocks that make a human mind. When I watch her bow graze the ventilator tube again and again, I want to recall the old story of Nero playing as Rome burned, which is supposed to be a story about callous cruelty and ineffectual leadership, but which fails to hold up under historic scrutiny for many reasons, including that the violin was not invented until the 11th century. Still, the fable lends him more humanity than not. The notion that there was music inside him, even if it took 6 days of burning to fan it out. A music so powerful it forced itself to escape this tyrant's mouth. If art is only pleasure, Nero's act is selfish, loathsome. But if art is survival, a violin siren might morph to beacon against the smoky air. I keep asking my poems what the world needs from me in these days of quickening dread, of burgeoning conflagration, what they want me to do. In the comments section below the hospital video, no one can agree on what they're seeing. Creepy, incredible, horrifying, beautiful. Afterward, the violinist recalls, I kept thinking, get out of my way. I need to play louder. Larry, you always play louder. And you help all of us play louder too. Thank you.
And now the music continues with Joe Rory.
You're responsible. Why drag you down into my private hell? It's poetry. No one deserves this. No one has this coming. People fail, make mistakes, are cruel, uncaring, venal, hypocritical. Okay, signed, sealed, and delivered. What, hell? Poetry? The demise of everything? Created hope? Who deserves that? Only a certain kind of person. illegitimate spawn, the thrown demons swarming in their filth and resentment, eternally stewing away in an interminable fire. Damnation! That's not the half of it. Poetry reaching for beauty, truth, pick your poison, words on a page. What could be the harm? 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 Try infinite pain. Words, more than breath on the wind. Don't look now. You're plummeting down, and as you cartwheel through the flaming abyss, one last thought creeps into your soon-to-be incinerated brain. What have I done? So unpardonable that my lungs are filled with searing smoke, my eyes blasted by a leaping inferno. It was Larry. At Moonstone. Or even a goddamn coffee shop. Some seemingly innocent, drab, commonplace back room, or even the corner of a room where apparently everyday people who even seem somewhat addled or distracted have set up a makeshift platform where shaking, trembling, obviously damaged souls hold forth with their seemingly trivial or even incomprehensible reflections of this world. And you listen, you listen, you listen, you listen. The merest interruption in the daily run of quotidian reality. That's all. That's all it took to get dragged down into my private hell. Private. Exclusive. Welcome.
When we started Moonstone, we had this poetry series that other people were hosts to. And our first big project was the celebration of Black writing, which started in 91. And we did 18 years of celebration of Black writing. And we did 7 years of the Paul Robeson Festival. And we did 7 years of hidden history. And it's always that art and history relationship, which is what these posters are all about. Moonstone also was involved in early childhood development. And one of the people we really liked was Elliot Eisner, who wrote a book called The Arts and the Creation of Mind. And what he said is, what the arts teach is that there's multiple answers to every question. What multiple choice testing teaches is that there's only one answer, and that's not true. You know, the arts are the first thing that are cut. We're going through a period of censorship, and it's huge, a huge element, because people need access. They need to be able to make up their own minds. The attack on libraries and on education, of creating indoctrination rather than learning, rather than teaching people how to think and figure things out themselves. It's an essential aspect of democracy, and it's under attack. And it needs to be resisted. One of the things what I try to do with Moonstone, is communication. I come out of the bookstore, I was in the book industry from 1960 on, and the issue is communication. And one of our problems today is we don't know how to listen to each other. We don't know how to speak to each other. Also, tell you a story. Marita Golden was here once in the audience, and after her reading, a fellow said, "How come you black women are getting published and us black men can't?" And she said, "Black women are probably the most oppressed group in the country. Therefore, we have nothing to lose. Therefore, we can tell the truth, and the truth resonates. That's what drew me into this. You know, is through the civil rights movement, through the writers that were getting published. You sense the truth, and that's why I've been continue doing it. You know, art connects you to the truth.
I just want to say, before we bring on the man of the hour, I would like to introduce Sarah Browning from the Philadelphia Library. No. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah.
No, but let's give it up for the library. And the literature department have just done incredible work hosting us here tonight and as a donation, so thank you. So Juanita, David, the president. I also want to thank all the volunteers who helped out tonight. And the amazing team that organized this event, most especially Aaron Perry. I also want to say, you know, we've been here tonight because we love Larry Robin and we love Moonstone Art Center. We got to keep that love going. So the reason I intrusively handed out the program, and if you didn't get it, grab one from me now, is because there's a QR code here. For those of us over 60, you can put your phone against it with the camera open and it goes to a link that's on the interwebs. And there you can provide more and ongoing support for Moonstone Art Center. And now, I have the great pleasure of bringing up to the mic the one, the only, the legend, Larry Robin!
This is all a little embarrassing. You know, I'm in a unique position that my family has a bookstore, and as Ray mentioned, when I started getting political, when I came into work, he said, the FBI was, my father told me, the FBI was here. But the only thing they can do here is make you lose your job. And they can't do that here. So it gave me the freedom to do everything I wanted. You know, and I spent my life with books and poetry. And how many people get to do what they love for their whole life? This is Banned Books Week. If people don't vote and Donald wins, the world will start to look like Texas and Florida. This is free, and it's at the counter. It's interns did the artwork. It's a history of the struggle for voting. But the lesser two evils is a letter from Bill Aaron. It's a terrific letter, and it's, you know, young people especially have said, well, we're not going to vote. You know, it's important to vote. If you don't, Donald's going to do. And then we're all in trouble. Thank you for being here.